Hey everybody, it's Thursday night, which means it's time for Shop Talk with Haven Comics. I'm Josh Olive, and Haven Comics is absolutely the best comic book store at our location, period. Promise. We've got an awesome night planned for you guys tonight. We're going to have a really cool guest on the show, so stick around for a minute after we play this video. Just so nobody gets the impression that we're as cool as that video makes us look, that was courtesy of Nick Ellis at Two Brothers Comics. So thank you, Nick, for our swell intro video. Guys, we have an awesome night in the store. I'm really looking forward to this one. So we're not going to do all the chitter chat and stuff we normally do here. We're going to go ahead and bring on Alan to the show. Alan, what's going on, man?
What is up? I have got two things that you and I have already talked about, but big announcement out of New York, and that is DC is bringing back Elseworlds with about 5 titles next year. And the next one, we're going to have to dive into this at a later date, but I've been thinking about it. I don't think I've ever seen a comic book with this ending before. In all the books I've ever read, I've been trying to figure it out.
You know, you might be right. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you might be right.
Yeah, and I'm telling y'all right now, if you did not pick up Sins of the Salton Sea, it just finished up. It was absolutely flipping amazing. The last 2 pages made me sit down and think about it for a minute. Order the trade. It'll be out soon.
We've already got the trade on order, and it should be in like 4 weeks.
There you go. Y'all have no excuses.
None whatsoever. The other thing I was going to mention is the news coming out of New York Comic Con today for everybody who's interested. There is a new company that has been formed that will be producing comics. It's called Ghost Machine. And these guys are all going to be owners of the company as well as exclusive to the company. So when I mention names like Brad Meltzer, Jason Fabok, Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, Jeff Johns, Francis Manipold, Peter Tomasi, and quote, others who will be named after they fulfill their commitments to other publishers, end quote. That is, that to me smacks of Image back in the day when a whole bunch of top machines or top creators picked up and went to start their own thing. These guys, that's some serious firepower, and they are going to be publishing through Image, at least for now. But these are the guys who brought us Geiger, for example, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. And then we've got guys like Jason Fabok, who is just a phenomenal artist. I really loved what he did on Batman. I loved what he did on the Swamp Thing Winter Special a couple years ago.
Yep.
Manipul, phenomenal artist. Tomasi, great writer. And it's an interesting mix of writers and artists. I think that's really fantastic. So I think these guys have got a lot of potential, and I'm really excited about that. Quickly in the chat, we got Jacob Harris. Hey, man, appreciate you joining us. We've got Nick. What's happening? I don't have a bald head. What do you mean bald heads? Bald head singular, Nick, sir.
I can hook you up, and you can be just like me within the matter of a couple of minutes.
Mike Weslowski in the house. What is this big announcement of new Dragon Ball anime? That's huge. I'm so excited. Mike saying, did I say Goat Machine or Ghost Machine? It is a Ghost Machine with an S. Really excited to see what those guys do, if I'm honest. But let's waste no more time. We want to bring in our guest tonight. We have a guy who 3.5 years ago, when we did our At Home Heroes convention, which was because all of the cons got canceled thanks to COVID, this was the very first guy that I asked if he would come on for an online panel. And to my surprise and everlasting joy, he said yes. And he talked to us then about a project that he's working on. And tomorrow that project goes live. So we're bringing him back to say hey and to hear more about it. God, we got a bunch of people just jumped in. Kaylisa, what's happening? Bluff and Stuff, Homestead. Jay, what's happening? Matt Posey, good to see you, brother. We're going to jump on here and bring out the one, the only Mr. Jeff Johnson.
Hey. Yeah, I love the applause. That works for me.
Yeah, I didn't get any applause when I came on. I don't. That's impressive.
Normally, when you come on, Josh, you should be getting a
boo.
Well,
You're a comic book store guy, and this is the love you get.
yeah, that's tough. Hey, I loved your openings. Those are really nicely done. Who'd you say did those?
Nick Ellis of Two Brothers Comics.
Cool.
That's two brothers who they bought their first comics at my shop like 4 or 5 years ago, and then they just dug it. They got into the hobby, and now they've got a YouTube channel with like 6,000 followers or something, and they do great stuff.
Awesome.
They'd be good guys for you to talk to. Just
Absolutely.
really cool dudes, and they're friendly with their time. And Nick Ellis makes these intros and things all the time, and they're great.
Yeah, I've been meaning to put one together for the Drink and Draw channel, and I just have not gotten around to it, nor have I learned how to do it. So
just talk to Nick Ellis. He's in the chat. This is him right here.
Okay.
He's got a "That's What She Said" joke going on.
There you go. Perfect.
But yeah, that's he does some incredible work.
Excellent. All right, cool. I'll definitely have to get his number from you guys afterwards.
Yeah, be happy to.
Oh.
So just before we dive into Rogue's Kingdom, which I'm very, very excited to talk about, because you piqued my interest 3.5 years ago when you were telling me about this.
That's good.
And so I've been on the lookout ever since. And when I saw the announcement come out, I'm like, yes, for so many reasons. I'm super pumped. But for the folks here who may not know you or haven't seen your stuff in a minute, we love origin stories for comic book guys. How did little Jeff Johnson get into this whole comic thing? Like, did you see some comics at the grocery store when you were a kid? Were you born with a pencil in your hand? I mean, how did this all come about for you?
I wouldn't say I was born with a pencil, but it was pretty close. So when I was a kid, we moved around a lot. And so one of the few things that no matter what town we were in, what we were doing, there was always a 7-Eleven, or there was always a drugstore, or a supermarket that had the comic spinners rack. And so that would be the first thing I did whenever I got to a town, and I would get my comics. I think I learned how to read like around 4 or 5 from comics. And so right around the same time, I also just started drawing out of comics. And so ever since, I guess that would be 1972. So if you can imagine what I was looking at back in the day, it was some classic great stuff. And so fell in love with comics early on, and then that's all I ever wanted to do. And so just drew all the time. And then in high school, a buddy and I, we wrote and drew a newspaper strip that we had in our local newspaper.
How awesome is that?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was a surprise. Well, it was a really interesting lesson because it was we went to the newspaper and we said, hey, we have this idea, and you have cartoons and we have a cartoon strip, so let's put it in. There's obviously there's always room for one more, and they liked the idea of it. But what they really wanted was someone to do editorial cartoons for that same local newspaper, and we agreed to do the editorial cartoons if they put our strip in the paper. And so they paid us $15 a week for the strip, but they paid us $25 a week for the editorial cartoon. And that's when I realized that someone will always pay you more for what they want you to do than what you want to do. And that's been was a valuable lesson to get at 16.
But you were both spending $20 a week. That's not too bad.
Yeah. No, we were making enough money to buy Slurpees and comics.
What more did you ask for?
Yeah, I mean that was our only goal.
And in 1989, comics were still 75 cents, right? Or had they gone up to $1 by then?
No, I think in 1980, when we were doing that strip in like 84, I think comics were still 75 cents.
At 84, they definitely were.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's
what
how
was
I got
the strip about? I'm dying to know now.
It was a strip. It was written by my buddy Steve Jones and I, who Steve wound up being my inker for a lot of stuff. He helped me with Wonder Man. He is also became a professional comic book artist, and then went on to do a ton of stuff in animation. Steve worked on the original Batman cartoon and Batman Beyond and Justice League, and he's done a ton of stuff. So don't judge us by our high school stuff. It was called Post Warriors, and it was a post-war bunch of characters who in like a post-apocalyptic, world with like magic and wizards and science, and it was very high school, but it was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm Googling it over here, right?
I'll be surprised if you can. It was a local newspaper in Danville, California. There's no way that it's anywhere. If you find it, I'll be shocked.
Well, that's definitely not it.
Yeah.
Unless y'all were doing them. No, this is Charmy's Army. Never mind. That's definitely not it.
Yeah. I don't know if the only place that ever saw publication was the local newspaper, and I have no idea what the print run was.
I bet if you go to the library in that town and you go through all their old microfiche files that they still have.
Well, I saved them. I have them in a big folder of this yellow newspaper. It was a good start. And then, so I got my first taste of drawing for money in cartoon strip. And then, but we wrote it, penciled, inked it, lettered it ourselves. And then after high school, I joined the Army and was an illustrator in the Army for a little while. And then when I got out of that, I basically went to all the conventions I could go to, showing my stuff to whoever would look at it. And eventually I made friends with Fabian Nicieza, who was at Marvel.
Sweet.
Yeah, and
he's a funny dude, man.
Oh, he's the best. Honestly, he's my godfather when it comes to comics. In my career, he liked what I was doing, and he gave me a bunch of really great like feedback and notes and critiques. And then over the years, I got up to a skill level where he thought I could have a job, and so he gave me a tryout on a book called Stalkers, which I was the last. I was the last guy out of Saigon with that. In the I did a backup in the last issue.
I like the way you put that. I don't know why the last guy out of Saigon. That was a good one.
And then I guess that was good enough for me to get a shot at Wonder Man, and so I tried out for it and got the book. And after that, the rest is sort of history.
So you went from one little hint of what you can do to a regular monthly book.
Well, I've never been regular, but yeah, the book was regular. Yeah. No, it was a stupid amount of luck. Honestly, there's no way that I should have had that book, but it was just the right place, the right time.
Honestly, that's the only Wonder Man story I've ever read that was solo Wonder Man that I ever really liked.
Well, I think that
he's a tough character.
Yeah, but I've loved him since I was a kid. I loved him and the Beast, and I just loved the character of Simon Williams. I liked everything he stood for, and I'd always liked drawing him. So when Fabian said that they were going to do a Wonder Man book, I'm like, oh, that's my guy. I love that guy.
Yeah, I love the character. I just never thought he worked very well as a solo guy, I guess.
Right.
I like him in his social interactions with other people. Him and the Beast buddying around is gold. Mm-hmm. That's absolute gold all the time. And he worked out so well in the Avengers. I loved him there.
He was great. I loved the West Coast Avengers too. I thought he was particularly good there.
West Coast Avengers was a very underrated book.
Agreed.
And I never understood why that was. There was the lineup was fantastic. They did some different things. It was great. I always liked it.
I guess it's just because it was, I think the title might have thrown some people off. Like there was the West Coast Avengers is almost a little, I think it's just dead on, but I think some people thought it was a little tongue in cheek. Maybe they didn't give it the credit that it was due, but who knows? Yeah. I loved it.
People always treated it like Excalibur a little bit, like it was this goofy, weird thing, and it was kind of half serious, but not really serious. But it was a serious book. It was great. I loved it.
It was for fun. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say for fun. Scott Collins and I have been writing a 6-issue miniseries that we would love to do someday, set in like 1986 when West Coast Avengers was Tigra, Hawkeye, Mockingbird, right? So like it's a retro kind of comic.
Those things have been doing well.
I mean, we might do it on our own. I can't imagine Marvel caring about the West Coast Avengers, but it's a labor of love that someday I think maybe we'll put out.
That would be awesome, and I know you would have some sales for that because it would sell at my store. I can guarantee you that.
Excellent. I mean, people love them. I mean, that era of comics is beloved.
Oh, it's fantastic. There were so many good things. Just such a fun time in comics because comics weren't afraid to be fun.
Right.
What's up, Todd? It's good to see you, man. It's been a minute. Been a minute. Good to have you on a Thursday night. So you started off. You got there. You pop. Boom. You're suddenly working on Wonder Man.
Mm-hmm.
And then where did it go from there?
I did Wonder Man for a couple of years, and then I bounced around a lot. Did some Spider-Man, and then I was on Green Lantern for a little while, and I did some Justice League, and I just sort of wandered around. Like cool projects would come up, and I would do a few issues here or there, and then I had a little run on Fantastic Four, which I really liked. And then after that,
you like drawing all that Kirby stuff.
I do. I mean, honestly,
the Kirby machines and all the
Now you did a run on Supreme also, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who wins in the fight, Supreme or Superman? Let's get the controversy started.
Yeah. Well, let's get the fist up. It's a tough call because I think that
Supreme's going to fight dirty, and
Supreme's going to cheat. He's definitely gonna fight mean. But I think Superman probably has him on some of the extra powers, right? Like Supreme does not have freeze breath, so I think Superman's got some tricks up his sleeve Supreme doesn't have. But I think it'd be a good brawl.
I think it would too. But yeah. Supreme would definitely fight dirty.
Oh yeah, I mean, in one of the issues I did, he fights a doppelganger of himself, and I think he like pokes his eyes out, if I remember correctly. And throws him into the moon pretty hard. Yeah, that was a fun issue to draw.
Yeah. If you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
In a fight like that, that's probably true.
What was it like? Kind of going from like, Spider-Man, the Marvel universe to being able to kind of cut loose with a character like Supreme.
What's funny about that is like, it all depends on me about the character himself. Like I did a Justice League miniseries and I thought I did an okay Superman, but I don't think I did him very well. Like I didn't really nail him. And I don't think that I really put much, of my own character. I didn't get a fresh take on him. So I just don't like Superman. I like the character a lot, but I just don't really understand him as a character.
Yeah.
And the same was true about Batman. It's one of the reasons I always liked drawing Green Lantern because Kyle was a comic book artist. I knew exactly who that guy was. And I like drawing Spider-Man and Wonder Man. I know who those guys were. And then Supreme, like just this idea of a out of control, do whatever he wants. That I like that a lot. That was fun. That appealed to the darker side. So yeah, I like that. That was cutting loose. There was it was a good time.
And then you ended up over at CrossGen doing Way of the Rat, which was phenomenal.
Oh, thanks.
Oh my God, I've got 2 of your Way of the Rat pages hanging up on the wall at the shop.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
and I've got a Fantastic Four page too. Actually, I think it's a Gen X annual or something.
Right.
It's got all 4 of the Fantastic Four fighting Sentinels.
Oh yeah.
In New York.
Okay.
I've got that up on the wall at the shop too.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So if anybody's wondering, like, where have I seen this guy's art? You've seen it up on the wall at the shop. I got 3 pages of his stuff up, and it's just fantastic.
Which Way of the Rats pages do you have?
Gosh, one of them is God. What was the bad guy's name?
The con, the big muscle one, or the judge? There was a guy who's bare chested and huge.
Not him, the other guy.
The judge, the guy, the evil, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's got the sword. In this one page, it's a big figure of him, and there's a couple of smaller panels at the top and the bottom. Okay. And then the other one is just this awesome flying sidekick.
Cool.
That I love.
Yeah, I mean I'm glad you liked it. That book was a joy to do because all I really did was I'd watch kung fu movies and freeze frame and sketch and like pick the cool stuff and then put that in a page. That was
it felt
day.
Like that too, right? It read like this high, fast-paced crazy energy, almost like a heist movie.
Mm.
Where different things are happening in the background, and you still had the mystery of the cross-gen stuff of like, why is this a talking monkey? What's going on? That we
Right.
never did get the answer to. We are all still waiting on that.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I can maybe give you a clue, but I don't know if even I know the truth.
I would take a clue.
Well, I think we never actually got to it, but I do believe that Popo was maybe supposed to be the sigil bearer. Like, we didn't really have the sigil in our universe.
Right.
And so eventually we were supposed to all get together and participate. And I think Popo might have been the secret sigil bearer that we were going to reveal.
If you shave the monkey, there it is. Like, oh my God.
If you shave the monkey, that's where it would have been. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Now, keep in mind, whatever you make up on the spot, we're going to accept as gospel truth. So don't worry about it. I mean, just whatever you want Popo to be, that's who he is as far as we're concerned.
Well, in my mind, Popo means, so Chuck came up with Popo, and Popo means grandmother. So in my mind, that's how I always heard him, is that shrill, shrieky little voice.
I didn't know that that's what that meant, but that explains a lot about the personality.
Oh, yeah.
Because Popo was always giving side eye to people and be like, quiet down, young children.
Oh,
and Popo was always doing that. And that explains so much. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's pure Chuck. That's all Chuck Dixon.
God, that was such a great book. It was so much fun. And again, that flying sidekick is the main central panel on the second page that I've got. And it's just so smooth. And so you've got this thing that you do with lines. And I see the same thing in some of the art that you've put out for Rogue's Kingdom. Particularly that close-up of her, the hooded person with the knife.
Oh, right. That's the Terror.
Yeah, that close-up there, it's got some of those reminiscent of those same lines, that real smooth lines, very simple, not overdone, I like a Bernie Wrightson style. Believe me, I love it. I think Bernie Wrightson's amazing. I don't know how he has the skill or the patience to put 600,347,221 lines on every single page.
Yeah.
That's incredible. You're more like Alex Toth on some of your stuff, where you've got these just a few lines tells the story. You don't need all that other stuff. And I just find that awesome. And so I get a little bit of that. And then I get that juxtaposed next to this incredible cityscape that I'm like, holy smokes, what in the world? So cool. But we'll get to that in a second.
I can't be obsessive when it comes to that background stuff. I do tend to get lost in it.
Which is probably why you enjoy drawing all the like Kirby style machines and stuff, right?
I think that might be where I got it. Like his epic backgrounds were early formative images for me.
Because they're awesome. And it's so much better than you see all these guys. A lot of artists today, you see them, they'll focus on the characters, and then there's no backgrounds at all, ever. And that there's no setting. And setting is part of the story. So when you have this stuff, even if it's totally nonsensical stuff, like machines that do what? We don't know what they do. We don't know why. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's there, and that means there's something else going on in this world, and there's a reason that it's there, and it has a function.
Absolutely.
And that all makes it very, very cool. And I dig it. And I love that you enjoy doing that, because you talk to a lot of artists, and they're like, yeah, I love doing this aspect, but oh my God, the backgrounds are killing me. And you're like lost in that background, man.
Yeah, I dig in. That's for sure.
Yeah, I jumped on your Instagram because I follow you on Instagram, and I was kind of scrolling through to try to find one where it's got like the mechanical background so we could pull it up on screen.
Oh,
but I got stopped dead in my tracks by the Dark Phoenix that you did the background on it.
Oh, thanks.
That you have on your Instagram. That is absolutely beautiful.
Well, pull it up and share it if you want to, Alan. I was going to say that you've got that Silver Surfer where he's kind of just like crouched down on the board going across, and you just Galactus's face like from here to here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool! Holy smokes! Yeah, there it is.
Oh yeah, thanks. I love drawing. I mean, one of the things I love about comics is that like everything is a piece of art. Like the special effects, how you draw fire or how you draw energy crackling or magnetism or all that stuff. There's this wonderful language, this visual metaphor for it. And I've been studying guys like Kirby and Arthur Adams and George Perez and John Byrne. I just think that I like drawing that stuff as much as I like drawing everything else in a comic, the figure and robots. There's something about
There he is. That's the Wonder Man we know.
I love Kirby Crackle. It's so much fun.
Yeah, Stephen Butler loves the Kirby Crackle too. He does a lot of that on his stuff. I don't know if you know Stephen, but
I love his work.
Yeah, he's hilarious with it. He's like, I got to put something here. Ooh, Kirby Crackle.
Yeah,
and he goes to town.
It's fun. It's hypnotic. It just looks real cool.
It absolutely does. It's not the same thing, but it's kind of. Oh, now you've lost him.
Yeah,
God dang it.
Yeah,
Alan's a big fan. Dr. Fate fan.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I love Dr. Fate. Honestly, it was the look of Dr. Fate. It's always been the look of him for me. Well, whether it was a male Dr. Fate or a female Dr. Fate, it did not matter. I just thought that was always one of the coolest looking characters.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I got to draw him and his daughter in the Young Justice cartoon.
That's exactly where I was going to go next.
Yeah.
There it goes. That's the Silver Surfer I was talking about right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Holy smokes! What an incredible image. Oh man, look at that.
I mean, honestly, the biggest question of the night is, if you decide you want to send any of this stuff to me, just ask my address. I'll give it to you.
I will definitely. I definitely have stuff I can send you guys. I have a poster of that if you want me to send it to you.
Which one?
Silver Surfer, I think.
I wouldn't say no.
Yeah. Let me double check in my file. I think I have some of those left.
There's something so peaceful about that image, and until you look past it and you see Galactus back there, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, I got to draw. So I've drawn Galactus and Silver Surfer a couple of times in my actual career. And then I just felt, I always loved them as a fan, but when I drew them, I just fell in love with like that relationship and just the idea of Surfer flying through space and this just a giant Galactus somewhere around. It's just a fun thing to draw, and it's a theme I just keep coming back to. So I've done it like a dozen times.
This is the one that I thought about when y'all were talking about the mechanical backgrounds. How you don't know what it does, but you really don't care because it just looks cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just phenomenal stuff. But you went on from comics, and you haven't been in comics a whole lot for the past little bit because you have been working on what?
So
I get Alan with this again, by the way. So just be prepared.
So when I was so I finished up with CrossGen. I guess it was 2003, early 2004. So I did my 2 years there, and like that company imploded, and another helicopter out of Saigon thing, Alan. That was. I've had my ass shot off a few times when it comes to comic book companies.
I gotta say that one was a heartbreaker because I really loved CrossGen. I loved what they were doing. I know that what they did and the way they did it didn't make everybody happy. I was at a con when Mark Wade came in, and he had just erupted with his spat with CrossGen.
Right.
And they had his name tag on his table was Mark Wade. Underneath it said CrossGen, and he had just taken this big old Sharpie and be like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know it didn't end well for everybody, but I really loved what they did.
Yeah, I have to say that for me, I was in my early 30s, and I'd done a bunch of stuff in comics, and I had an active career, and I felt pretty good about it. When I got to CrossGen, and I got to work with guys like just in the same room with Steve Epting, Bart Sears, Paul Pelletier, all these guys were just fantastic. Jimmy Chung, like just all these guys were fantastic artists. My skills skyrocketed in just 2 years because I got to see them like, oh, that's how a pro does it. I've been jerking around, faking it for a while, but like I definitely learned a ton just by the 2 years in there. And I love doing Way the Rat. That was a great fun. book. I just
Tell you,
yeah.
Steve Epting, when he did El Cazador,
Oh, gorgeous.
That was the first book where I really understood. I mean, I've been a comic book fan since 1982.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first time I ever really looked at a comic and understood, like deep in my soul, what a colorist could do for a book.
That was
And
Laura,
Justin
right?
Ponser.
Oh no, it was Justin. Oh yeah,
Justin Ponser was amazing, and
right.
God rest his soul. What a terrible loss.
Yeah.
Such a talent, and but the colors on El Cazador just broke me. That was incredible what he could do with the sunshine on the water and the waves and the shark beneath the water and the pirate ship. It just blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind.
He was remarkably talented. Yeah, great guy too. I mean, that is, sadness. There's a lot of sadness around the Crushing thing. But I mean, one of the reasons that we all did such great work is I think because there was so many. We all were friends. Like we all got to hang out and work in the same studio and make art together.
It had benefits and weekends off and like.
Well, I mean, we never really got the weekends off. We
Okay.
were supposed to have weekends off,
right?
But we went to a lot of shows. So we would go to the shows and do drawings, which was fun. But like every once in a while, like you're like, okay, we had 10 shows this year. That's a lot of drawing in the middle of the night. But I thought the system was great, and I really do think that working in the quads, like having my colorist and my letter or my inker right next to me was a really great relationship, and we could play off each other and talk about what we wanted out of the page, and it was a huge team effort.
And it paid off. It really did. I think
so.
I look outside looking in kind of thing. It looked to me like they tried to expand too far too fast, and then kind of collapsed under their own weight a little bit. It's kind of what it felt like. And I know there were probably a whole lot of other more complicated things going on behind the scenes.
I think that covers it. I think that there's comics is always a hard business, and to expand and keep, and fight the big two. And like, I think we put up a great struggle for a few years and put out some really, really great books. And then I just really wish that in the end we'd been able to make it last. Cause I mean, we had 100 issues planned for Way of the Rat. We had so much stuff we were going to do. There was the Hell of the Hungry Dragons, which is the one that is in the first couple of trade paperbacks. But we had dozens of Hell Scrolls. We had so many. There was going to be all kinds. There was there was Hell of the Hungry Dragons. There were the Hell of the Vengeful Ghost. There was the Hell. I mean, we had so many different scrolls, and then the Emperor was trying to get them all together so that he could control all of the various hells. And it was we had 100 issues planned that we never got to.
Now, and
that makes me both happy and sad that I did not get to see this stuff. Oh my gosh!
Josh, I may have a solution for you over here.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm probably going to catch some flack from some people for saying this, but I love independent comics. And I think that right now we're in some type of golden age for independent comics.
I would agree with that.
There's so much out there that's just shutting the big two down left and right. I mean, it's so good. Have y'all ever considered bringing back Way of the Rat or trying to expand?
They couldn't bring it back as that because Marvel owns it now.
Well, yeah, Disney owns Way of the Rat, but I have repurposed a lot of the ideas, a lot of the crazier threads. And we are going to be doing a bunch of really fun stuff in Rogue's Kingdom. Like, so So one of the things about it is like an idea never really dies. Sometimes you just have to shine it up and turn it around, make it fit somewhere else. So James and I have been talking a lot about Rogues for a long time. Like you said, I've been working on this thing for a super long time. And we have tons and tons of ideas, and we have 100 issues planned, right? So one of the best things about working with James is that he is,
and he says James, he means James Robinson.
James Robinson, right? I'm sorry.
So all you Starman fans, he means James Robinson, the James Robinson.
Yeah,
we had Tony Harris on a couple months ago.
Oh yeah,
and Yeah, one of our guys is we have a couple actually, just absolutely massive Tony Harris fans and massive James Robinson fans. And they're desperate to talk to James Robinson. I'll just tell you, just
Oh well, yeah.
desperate.
Well, I will definitely give him this number. He would. I'm sure he would love to come on the show and hang out with you guys. Like
We
he's
would kill.
he's been doing a lot of stuff in Hollywood. He's been doing a lot of TV stuff for a while. And so he is getting back into comics. And he and I have been playing with this idea for a long time. He's got some. I can't say the name, but he's got some other stuff that he's working on now. That might be coming out soon.
You know, you can tell me the name. I won't tell anybody.
I'll slip you a note under the door. So
that works.
Yeah.
Just it'll be under the windshield of your car. You'll just get this random
So
word.
James,
Be like,
James has got a lot of great. James is an idea machine. There's so much going on. Yeah, and he I remember. So he and I have been pals since Malibu days.
Ultraverse was the best.
Yeah, Ultraverse was fun. So yeah, he and I have been friends since then, and have always kind of talked about doing something together. And I've just been a huge fan of his. Like, Leave It to Chance, Golden Age. His stuff is His stuff is just so good. And I think that personally, I think that the thing he's doing, the Rogue's Kingdom, is his best. But that's.
I anxiously look. I look forward anxiously to finding that out.
Yeah, I'm super biased, but one of the best things about it is he not only has he written the comic that I've drawn, he's also written a prose story that's going to be in the back of the comic. It's like 5 or 6 pages of prose. He's gonna do that every issue, and then I'm doing like little spot illustrations. So you not only do you get his writing that I'm drawing as a comic, you get his writing just stands alone, and it's great.
Now, we jumped ahead to Rogue's Kingdom, which I'm so anxious to talk about. It's hard. But I want you to talk about what you've done in this interim between CrossGen and now.
Okay.
Mostly because I just want to watch Alan get excited.
Okay. So CrossGen, like, I kind of like I got used to having a paycheck, and I got used to having insurance and all of those things. And when I got and I moved back from Florida, which is where CrossGen was in Tampa, I moved back to California. And I moved to LA, and I kind of liked those things. I liked having an office to go to and someone else to do the IT computer stuff. I liked having all of that. And so Dave Johnson at the time was working at Justice League Unlimited as a background designer. And he had moved on. He was creating Ben 10 at the time. So he was the designer at Ben 10, and he had moved on from his job as a background designer on Justice League Unlimited. And so he asked me if I wanted to take a stab at it. And so I did, and I got the job, and then they didn't even have to change the name on the door because it was just Johnson. So I just moved in and took over.
Fantastic.
Which might have been one of the reasons I got the job. So, and I just took over doing backgrounds, and then I was in animation, and then I did a season of Justice League Unlimited, and then after that, after that show ended, I moved on to. I was supposed to do backgrounds. My next gig was Boondocks, and I was supposed to do backgrounds on Boondocks. But they were having a hard time finding someone to do the likenesses of the characters, because there were a lot of hip hop and actors who were guest starring in the cartoon as themselves. Like I drew Snoop. Mm-hmm. Thugalicious and a couple other so they were having a hard time finding someone that could do the likenesses of these people, but do them in an anime style. And I had done a ton of stuff like spot illustrations for Star Wars and and I've done a ton of likenesses as just part of and I've done a ton of likenesses on Way of the Rat. So I've created people who look like other people. And so they gave me a tryout for a character designer on Boondocks, and then I just moved over to character designer. So I did the second season of Boondocks. I think I drew pretty much all the background characters for that season, and it's hundreds and hundreds of characters. And then after that, I worked on Spectacular Spider-Man, and then I did some. I'm trying to figure I can't remember the order. then I did some Transformers, and then I worked on Prime, and I worked on Robots in Disguise, and then I did a lot of then I did a lot of character stuff on the Batman DVDs, Supergirl one. I guess it's Apocalypse, and I did some storyboards on a bunch of stuff at Warner Brothers. I was just in Warner Brothers for a long time, bouncing from project to project. I did part of the opening. One of my all-time favorite things is I did part of the opening animation for the Mike Tyson show, where it's a very Johnny Quest kind of opening. I did that, and then I did the first season of Young Justice. Just lots of cartoon stuff.
I knew that you'd worked on Boondocks and Young Justice, but back to the Ben 10, I used to watch that with my son all the time. He loved Ben 10, and y'all still owe me a Ben 10,000 episode where it's nothing but about Ben 10,000. That was awesome.
That's Dave. Yeah, I agree. I would watch that too. I mean, you got to talk to Dave Johnson about that. I did a little. I don't think I ever worked on Ben 10, any of that, and so I'm just a fan of that show, and his designs were amazing.
And then and I don't know. This is kind of a loaded question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. On the Warner Brothers stuff, all the DC animated movies. Is there a certain formula that they go by when it comes to making the DC animated? And the reason why I ask is DC animated movies blows everybody out of the water. I mean, it's like their animated movies, story and art, everything is just on an entirely different level.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And I don't know, because I worked on a bunch of Batman Bad Blood, like I said, the Supergirl one. You know, when you work in-house, like you get pretty much you're on a show, but like if they need help on stuff, you can bounce around a little bit. And I did that for a while. Yeah, I think the answer to that question, Alan, is that everybody there. So we're trying to really honor the comics, right? And we are all comic book fans already, and there's less cooks in the kitchen, I think. So you just have people who really are great at their jobs, and then who really love the material and have a chance to actually really just focus on telling a good story, right? So I think that's because I agree. I think the animated stuff that the Warner Brothers studio put out is as good, if not better, than any of the super high budget stuff. I mean, especially maybe not for special, but especially for the story and and they all fit together. There's a continuity between all the movies. So yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of the animated movies.
Yeah, that's the DC animation in general is just miles and miles above everybody else. I would absolutely have to agree with that.
I mean, one of the more recent ones, Super Sons. Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah,
I've not seen Super Sons yet.
Oh, you need to watch that.
Great. Yeah, it's a really, really good one.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
In fact, I think the last one, and the only reason why it was the last one is because it was actually on TV not too long ago, and that was was it Titans versus Justice League?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and that one was on TV not too long ago. That was the last one that I actually watched.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan of all of those. Yeah.
But you've been busy working in animation for 15 years, roughly?
Yeah. And I did the occasional cover, and I did the occasional issue. Like I did a Bizarro villains Superman issue, and I did some Supergirl stuff, and I think a Superboy thing, and I did some issues of Legion of Superheroes. So I dipped in whenever something cool presented itself. My day job was animation. Yeah. That was what I was going to do.
Quick question for you. I don't know if you have time for such things, or if you have a list or what, but we got a couple of people on here talking about commissions.
Oh yeah.
Do you do commissions? Do you have time for that?
I do. I do love commissions. If they want to just hook up with me on Facebook or Twitter, I'm easy to find. It's just Jeff Johnson, Johnsonverse. Yeah, I love doing commissions,
here, folks. So I'll go ahead and ask on Mike's behalf because I'm going to guess what he would want. When was the last time you drew Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman. I did a Wonder Woman for someone, I guess, just a few months ago.
Did I preempt that for you, Mike? Did I jump the gun for you? Uh, Mike is a phenomenal. We need artists in the world to create art. You also need people who consume art and they love art and they buy art. He is a phenomenal patron of artists.
Excellent. We could all use those.
He has art from guys all over the world. He sees something that he likes that a guy does. He's like, hey, let me support you. And he buys art. And he's a great human being.
Excellent.
Phenomenal guy. But it loves him some Wonder Woman. And his wife looks not a little bit like Wonder Woman.
Cool.
Marisol is awesome. She's really cool. I'll set you up, Mike. I know if he hits you up, just be prepared. It's probably going to be Wonder Woman.
Probably going to be Wonder Woman.
You might go somewhere else, but probably Wonder Woman.
All right, that's fair.
Now, for the uneducated, and mainly for me, and this is my stupid question moment of the night, whether you're working on animation for a movie or a TV show or whatever the animation is for, versus a comic book, is there a difference in how you have to approach the drawing at that point? Is there truly a difference between animation and comic books? There
is, and it depends on what you're doing. Like one of the things about animation that's different from comics is that you do just one of the jobs. Like one of the ways I was able to get into animation is my training in comics had prepared me for all the various independent sections of it. Like in animation, you have one guy who just does the characters. He just draws the characters and he draws them standing there and posing and doing stuff, but he'll do the full 360 so that when that storyboard and those characters go overseas to be animated, the animators know exactly what that person looks like. And so that guy is solely concerned with the making the coolest character design he possibly can. And then there's a background guy whose job is just background. So it's just perspective and designing cool backgrounds. And making sure that like in Justice League, we had a guy who built all of the Justice League compound in SketchUp.
I hope he put that on his business card exactly that way.
Right? Yeah.
Just designed and built the Justice League compound.
Yeah.
Like
so
done.
And then I have a friend. His name is Andy, who is the preeminent Batman mobile designer at Warner Brothers. So he's designed all the Batman mobiles, at least most of them, the Batmobiles for the DVDs and the TV shows and stuff. Like he's the go-to Batmobile guy. And so he's designed some super cool 1960s ones and more of the tank style ones. And he's just an expert at vehicles. And then there's just a storyboard guy. And so they're not finished drawings like in a comic book, like they're the rough layouts. And so the storyboard is sort of like the blueprint of what's going to happen, like the action and stuff. Like you build a little animatic. It's like you build a little movie of that. But the drawings they can be super rough depending on schedule and what's happening. And so the difference between comics and animation, one of them is like almost nobody does all those jobs, right? It's like you just do one aspect of that. But if you're and so I think that's the biggest difference is like there's more people on the team to make stuff work. But when you're storytelling, it took a while for me to figure out how to do animation storytelling and figure out how to do an animatic and storyboards. It's almost like if comics is speaking French, then animation is speaking Italian. They have similar roots, but you might understand some of it, but it is a completely different language.
All right, thank you for that answer because now it makes my question not seem so stupid.
Oh no, it's actually not a dumb question at all. Like it's not even remotely dumb. So I've actually given a very long lecture and boring if you're not into the topic on the difference between storytelling for comics and storytelling for animation. And it comes down to basically how time is represented. In a comic book page, you're dealing with space, and that gives you, and you create the illusion of time passing. Like this panel is in between, like you get a sense of time moving, and it's purely an illusion. And when you do storyboards, time is set. It's 24 frames per second. So you are playing with the idea of that and how that creates a sense of space and movement within that structure. And so it's not a dumb question at all. It's actually it's quite complicated.
Well, I mess
You're
up and
smarter
do
than you
good
look,
stuff every
Alan.
once in a while.
Yeah, no, it's a smart question.
Now, you talk about the way that the structure of a comic book page influences the progression of time as we perceive it from panel to panel and the layout and all that. Which I've never thought about it in those terms. We had Howard Chaykin on here a few months back.
Oh,
that was
yeah,
an
I love that guy. Yeah, he's the best. He's fantastic.
I made the mistake of we had him on just by pure happenstance on May the 4th. And so right out of the gate, since he worked on Star Wars originally, I made a Star Wars reference, and he did not take that well.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, he hates Star Wars. Anybody who likes Star Wars and the people who thought of Star Wars and pretty much the universe that exists around it. And he made that clear in no uncertain terms in the first 10 seconds. I knew that he was going to blow our PG-13 rating at some point. I just didn't expect it to be in the first 10 seconds.
Well,
or to be aimed at me.
Buyer beware, my friend.
Well, I knew what I was getting. I just didn't think I was going to get it all at once.
Yeah, well, caveat emptor.
But exactly. But one of the really cool things that he talked about was apparently he used to teach a class or something at Marvel to new and incoming artists about the architecture of the page and how to not just limit yourself to, I have these 9 panels and I have this and I have that, but to make use of the page to do what you want and to tell the story that you want to tell.
Right.
And the way that he talked about that was really eye-opening for me to think of it at that deeper level. And when you start talking about the progression of time and the use of panels and the page to show that, I get a similar kind of a vibe off of that, where I think, okay, I've never thought about that in those terms. I've been reading comics for over 40 years, and I've never thought about it in that kind of way. So that's really cool for me to have a different way of looking at it and thinking about it the next time I open a comic book, which is going to be here in about an hour.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I mean the how you represent the illusion of time, right, or how you manipulate the experience of time is a major part of storytelling. A lot of times you do it with a simple way is to do it with like gutter size and gutter space, right? That the longer it takes you to actually mentally get from one panel to the other, there's a longer sense of a progression of time. And so I think that one of the things is the idea when you're drawing a page is you want the reader to come in and then experience the page the way you want them to zip past some things, to stop and experience something, or to trip over something. Like you want to really create a sense of visual movement in the reading experience. And that there's a lot of tricks that you can use, but one of the things that's the most important trick is just the knowing that that's what you're supposed to do. So that as a reader, my goal as a comic book artist is to always have you open the first page, fall into that panel, and then be along for the ride until the last minute. And so I try to make those transitions as smooth as secret as possible. I just want someone to enjoy the comic the way I did when I was a kid. Like back in the day, storytelling was so preeminent, and there wasn't anything flashy and there wasn't any like breaking panel borders unless it was important. And so you just got to experience the story of the comic. And that's the thing I think I've always loved the most about it.
I will say back in the day, I never was confused over which image followed the one before it.
Right.
And there's a lot of times now where I look at there's a 2-page spread and I'm trying to figure out if the action is supposed to go across both pages.
Right.
Or just this page and this page. And it's honestly sometimes, again, been doing this for over 40 years.
Right.
I can't tell which way it's supposed to go.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate experience because the spell is super sensitive, right? And if anything breaks that spell, then you're out of the comic, and it's not ruined, but it's tainted. And so if you ever have to stop and then go like, oh, where am I? Who's saying what? What's going on? Where does this balloon go? Then I think the spell gets broken, and it's sensitive. Like it's a very subtle spell, and it's easy to break. So I think a lot of times that can happen because someone along the line didn't know what was happening. So a letterer is trying to put letters in and doesn't know where the balloons go, or an editor moves some stuff around or makes some last minute changes. So there's a lot of reasons it goes wrong, but I mean, it sucks. It sucks either way.
It does, and it's unfortunate as a reader because the whole point of it is to convey the story. And if I can't get the story, because now it doesn't make any sense to me because I don't know what follows what, then it's pulled me out of it and it's lost some of the mojo that it might have had. And that is unfortunate. And I do see that more these days than certainly I ever did before. Back when I was a kid, that never, ever did you see that. And back, heck, at CrossGen, on Ruse was almost totally 2-page spreads.
Oh, yeah. I did a fill-in of Ruse while I was there.
But it all made sense. Everything always flowed. There was never a question of where is it going. It just worked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jackson Butch Geist is a genius when it comes to storytelling.
God, he's a genius.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's one of the best ever.
Speaking of genius, I think we've waited long enough. I think we've got to talk about this. Guys.
Oh.
Rogue's Kingdom. This launches on Kickstarter tomorrow. And I know I'm a retailer. I'm not supposed to tell people about the Kickstarter, but hey, Kickstarter exists. You see that handy dandy QR code there? You might want to scan that. Look at this crouched on top of this sphere, this obelisk, whatever this is that she's crouched on top of, and look at the cityscape in the background. There's a lot going on here. And this is just one image. We also have, say, this guy. What's going on with him? Who's threatening this kid with this axe? That doesn't look good.
Nope.
What's this? He's clearly doing something fun. He's got a story to tell. He's somewhere interesting.
Yep.
And then here is this cityscape without all the colors. I've seen 2 different versions of this, or 3, I guess. I've seen the pencils and inks. I've seen more like a sunrise, and then I've seen a night sky.
Yeah, the nighttime one was an early test, and then the dusk sunset one is by Brennan Wagner, who's coloring the book.
Look at this cityscape, people.
Yeah,
look at this.
So this is how obsessive I am. Like, I know all the various neighborhoods in the city. Like, I have maps and I have streets and I have all kinds of stuff. So
that to me, as a guy who runs homebrew RPGs, and I go to that same level of depth. Like, I know the streets, I know the cities, I know every part of the cities, the different boroughs and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And some of it never ever gets used.
Oh no, I'm assuming
ever.
I mean, eventually, but it's the hours I spent putting together this city are. I mean, there's a reason that I have taken years to do it.
But look at this, people. This is one of the most glorious things I have seen. This is a place that takes you to it. Tell me you look at this and don't want to know more. I don't know how that's possible.
I appreciate that.
Like, you want to go there. Like this arch over here, like a triumphal arch. Is that something? Is that part of an old wall? It looks like maybe there's something here. What's happening? You want to know.
Yeah.
This huge domed building up here. You've got, clearly that's an important place. It's atop the hill. It's this massive dome. What's happening? It's this harbor here. Beautiful sunset. God, this is just exquisite.
Oh, thanks, man.
So we've got this world. We've got some of these characters. And this isn't even all the characters. The one I remember, there was a guy who had like a tiger head or a lion head.
Yeah.
So like humanish from torso and body, but had a lion's head. I've loved a dude like that since Flash Gordon when I was a kid.
Yeah. So
that was my favorite action figure, and I was so mad when I lost it down the the folding seat in the back of the station wagon that my
Oh,
parents
that's
had.
rough.
He
Oh,
went down in that, and you couldn't get him out.
oh no.
And that talk about childhood in danger. I was not happy. There
That's
he
rough.
is.
Oh,
There he is.
excellent. Yeah, that's
How awesome is that? How do
Oh.
you not want to know more about that dude?
Yeah. So one of the things that was really great about working with James Robinson is that we've been talking about this book for a while, and we wanted to do a fantasy swords and sorcery kind of thing, and I decided that I wanted to set it in because everything I love swords and sorcery and fantasy stuff, and it's often set in kind of the Dark Ages, and so I wanted to do something a little bit different, and so I asked James if we could do it in sort of like 17th century France, kind of like a Three Musketeers meets the Lord of the Rings kind of vibe.
Sweet.
And then,
love it.
right? Like, I was not thinking ahead, by the way, when I suggested that. And so I was putting it there and doing all of that, and then I just came up with the idea one day of like, I kind of want to do animal people. I kind of want to have there be a lot of magic just everywhere, and it's sort of commonplace in the background. Like part of the story is that actual magic being done by actual wizards is pretty rare, but I wanted there to be a lot of ambient magic. And so we have centaurs and minotaurs and fairies and dragons and lion people and squirrel people. Like we have all kinds of animal people. I just wanted to populate the world with as much imagination as I can get away with.
See, this is the one, I don't know what it is, but this is the one that caught my attention.
Oh,
it was
yeah?
like the second I saw this, I was like, okay, what's their story?
Yeah.
Like I said, I got serious Way of the Rat vibes off of this.
Yes, for sure. Well, I tried it. So I love drawing action. I love drawing kung fu and all that stuff. And so this one, there's a lot of action. So there's tons of cool, standard martial artsy type stuff. But I wanted to really focus and have it be more of a rapier sword fight than a katana sword fight, more of a dagger sword fight than a staff sword fight. So
did you ever
I'm doing
read,
a lot of that.
Did you ever read the comic? I want to say, did it come out from Dark Horse or Image? I think it was Dark Horse. It was by Ron Mars and Luke Ross. It was just called Samurai.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, those guys are a great team. Yeah.
Holy
Luke Ross
smokes!
is a badass. Yeah,
he has this one perspective page where this dude is kneeling in front of. It's like this samurai guy is kneeling in front of his lord, and these other guys are sitting around. But the perspective on that page, that's a hard angle to get and to make it look right. And the perspective on that page was just incredible. Absolutely floored me. But when you say kind of samurais and Three Musketeers, he actually had a scene where the samurai dude was fighting the Three Musketeers, and it was just in front of Notre Dame. It was absolutely brilliant.
Oh no, he's a badass. There's no doubt about it.
That dude is remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
That comic was one of my favorites. I wish it were easier to get, but it's been out of print for a little while now, and I've run out of copies at the shop. But I could point anybody to that and sell it.
Mm-hmm. I remember when they did that book, and I was very angry at them. I'm like, God, this is so good.
Yeah. He had one page too where you see there's a big fight going on, and he's got the one panel where the bad guy is like, and then the next panel, when you flip the page, it's the exact same thing, the same face, but his head is on a pike.
Oh,
and you're like, dude, that was awesome. It was just so brilliant the way he captured that. But
it's good storytelling.
Yeah, when you start, it really was. Yeah, when you start talking about this and kind of mixing the latent magic or the ambiance of just the world is inhabited by non-human people, and that's just how it is. Maybe it's not special to see a centaur. Maybe they're just everywhere.
It's not unusual. I mean, it's not shocking. You'd be like, and I think that there's a lot of half animal people, and there's just a lot of sort of understood magic. Part of the idea is that there's only a few people who can actually. There's only a few clans of wizards who supposedly can really do magic, like humans can use the magic. And part of the story is we find out that that's actually not true, that anyone could learn to do it, but they've just kept it secret. So part of the story is the main character, Peachy and Rondo, figuring out how to break that cycle.
All right, so that gives us a little insight. What if you were going to say, meta plot or plot wise, whatever? What's the summary? What's the story? When people look at this, okay, it's a cool setting, it's a cool world, it's beautiful, it's written by an absolute genius, it's got art by one of the top artists that's doing this stuff in the business. I get all that, but what's the story I'm getting? What are we telling?
So without giving away any spoilers, really, which I'm perfectly happy.
Alan's going to ask for those. You just have to.
I'm perfectly happy to do it. So it's kind of it's not really complicated. Like, so there's Peachy and Rondo, who are our two main characters, and Peachy is a little street urchin, sort of orphan kid who lives by his wits, pickpocketing, little cons, doing whatever he can, kind of almost like an Aladdin character, like he's doing what he can to survive in the streets. And then Rondo is a sellsword, and he used to be a soldier, and now he's like a bard, and he wanders around and he fights and plays music for money, and that's how he gets by. These guys both wind up in a prison caravan, or a caravan heading to Lumpland, which is the main city. That picture of the city, that's Lumpland. So these characters they're on their way to either go to jail or get hung, depending on what happens.
Either way, great choices.
Yeah. And so, right, not that they're not happy about being in this cart at the end, this prison cart at the end of this caravan. In the front of the caravan are the new wizard that's going to take over for the one that just died in Lumpland, and his guardian. Each city, there's 3 of them. Each city state that has its own wizard, and they're kind of like the nuclear option. They're powerful, and they keep everyone kind of like leaves everyone alone, because you don't want to mess with one of these wizards, because that's when stuff gets real. So the old wizard of the city has died, and the new replacement wizard is on the way, and then the caravan that they're in gets attacked. And the new wizard and his guardian get killed in the attack, but Peachy and Rondo survive, and they, instead of heading off and just running away, Peachy comes up with this idea of taking the old wizard, or the new wizard who's his age, and the guardian who is Rondo's age, their place, and then going to the city, stealing as much as they can steal, and then hitting the road. So they decide to impersonate the real wizard and the real guardian.
That's the hook right there.
That's the
got
hook.
me. That's got me right there.
Solid plan.
Yeah. So right, exactly.
That's
It's not.
What could go wrong?
Exactly. So the long and the short of it is they plan this scheme, and then in the process of doing it, they wind up becoming the characters that they're impersonating. Peachy winds up becoming a great wizard, and Rondo winds up becoming a great guardian, and they wind up saving the city and protecting the king, and they wind up being the heroes. So I won't give you all the details about how that happens, but it's fun. So that's the story.
I am on board. That is
awesome. Cool.
Yeah, that is my kind of story right there.
Yeah.
I think the biggest question about Rogue's Kingdom is, can I have a cameo in it?
Sure. Well, I mean,
I don't need to be anybody important. I would like to be the king, but I don't have to be the king.
Well, the king is already set, but I will tell you this. So
you okay, Josh?
Yeah. I am perfectly happy to put you in the book. So my friend Scott Collins is he's in the book. He plays like a scholar in the book. My friend Dan Panocean plays a palace guard. My friend Steve Jones, who I told you I did that book with in high school, he plays a palace guard. I use my own face. Yeah.
I've got it. This is the perfect cameo for me.
All right.
Put me right next to Panosian as a palace guard.
Okay.
And I look at him and say, "Do you have any black tape?"
Oh,
and
I mean, that's. I'll have to check with James, but I think that's cool. I think that'll work.
You remind me, Alan, when I was in junior high, we had the American Legion guy come to school for whatever reason and talk to us about something. I don't remember what. I was a horrible, disrespectful little jerk. And I was just fascinated. I liked his hat. And I asked him if I could have his hat. And he said, no, of course. But you are just like me. And that's like, can I be in your comic?
But you have to admit, okay, the backstory on this is, Jeff, I have literally asked every creator if I could have some type of, I've got to leave my mark on the comic industry somehow.
I can put you in easy enough.
I have asked Kyle Higgins to put me in No One. I have asked Kennedy to put me in Dead Romans.
All right.
If Kelly Yates could work me into Doctor Who somewhere, I've asked that.
Man, Kelly's so good. Yeah. I tell you what, you send me some pictures of you, and I will make you. I won't make you a palace guard. I'm gonna make you one of the courtiers, one of the little dukes that's in the throne room during a big, like when Rondo comes in. I'm drawing that scene now, so I'll put you in the background.
You are on.
I will make sure
you get pictures.
He is this tall, so if you want to put somebody this tall behind him, I'll stand behind him. It'd be
all
okay.
right. That sounds fair. Yeah, I'm happy to put you guys in the book.
That's ridiculous. I can't.
I put everybody else in. Everybody I know is in the book. I mean, they're all in there.
I tell you, comic book shop owner and the shop manager at a store that we used to have here in town a long time ago. It was called the Comic Shop. Brilliant name. They were in the first 2 or 3 pages of Firearm that Cully Hamner did for Ultraverse back in the day.
I remember that book.
Yeah, they were in those first couple or 3 pages of Firearm for a couple of panels, and I always thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Like, I know a dude who is in a comic book. This is the coolest thing ever. Right. I have to admit, it would be pretty awesome to be in there, even just tucked away at the back somewhere.
Yeah, no problem.
I will say this, and I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers here because I haven't seen the Kickstarter goes live tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the Kickstarter is they're doing a launch party for it. So go check out Kickstarter, sign up for the preview page, get there for the launch party tomorrow. It's going to be pretty awesome. It's right here. We've got the link up for you.
Cool.
So I haven't seen it. So my question is,
oh, sorry.
Do you have a retailer level in there?
Yeah. So this is my first Kickstarter, and I've bugged all my friends about everything I can possibly think. So there's a retailer pack that's 5 issues. That's super discounted. Is that helpful? Is that what you mean? Retailer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, something that I can put on the shelf and sell.
Oh yeah,
and be profitable selling without you losing money, because that's not good. You've got to make money on what you create.
Right.
I think we will have it on the shelf either way, but at retailer level very much helps me.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. So I think it's like I think the book is going for 15 because it's like 32 pages. The standard book is 32, and we have a deluxe version that's 48. It's got a lot of stuff in the back. Like there's a lot of stuff, but like there's definitely there's a retailer pack, like 5 that's seriously discounted. I think it's like $3 or $4 off each one. So
I see a backer kit modification in my future to add whatever this deluxe version is.
Oh, yeah. Basically,
I'm gonna have all the pages.
It's basically the comic. The deluxe version is the comic, but I did a wraparound cover. And then there's a bunch of extra stuff. Like there's more characters, because I've done a ton of the character designs. And then James has written a cool story. We also have a la Way of the Rat. We have a cool letters page, and so it's kind of like a newspaper from the city. And so what James is going to do is he's going to write. So it's a newspaper that's going to be. It's the Lump Lane Gazette basically, and it's all the stories that would be in that city's newspaper at the time. Like, oh, the troll under the bridge has been taking extra thing. Like it's all that super fun background stuff.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
What was the one I recently read? When Ryan North took over Fantastic Four, which is excellent, by the way. I don't know if you're reading it, but
I haven't.
Ryan North has made. Well, I'll tell you what he did with the letters page in the very first issue was he's like, this is the first issue. We don't have any letters, so I'm going to tell you what my vision for the Fantastic Four, what it should and should not be.
Excellent.
He's like, the Fantastic Four should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a family.
Yeah.
It should be focused on the family. They're not superheroes. They're explorers and adventurers. There shouldn't be a lot of angst.
Right.
And he has 100% delivered on that, going through, 12 issues now?
Oh, great. Who's drawing it?
Who is drawing Fantastic Four right now? Let me grab it. I've got it right here.
While Josh is grabbing that, I was going to ask you, so if anybody follows the link to the Kickstarter, that like right now they can click save and just sign up for it and get notified when it goes live.
Yep.
The launch party, where will that actually be at?
So in my town, I live in Southern Oregon, and I have there's a place near me that's just a great little hangout spot. It sells food and beer, and and so we're gonna have so I'm going to be actually live drawing and hanging out. We're going to have like a raffle, and people can come by and get the QR code and sign up for stuff. It's basically just going to be a hangout launch party, but we're going to live stream it like the Drink and Draw show. So that'll be on YouTube. And hopefully,
if y'all haven't watched his Drink and Draw show, that's always fun too.
Yeah, that was a good time. We did that for a while. Yeah. So
that was quite a crew of guys you had on there. And then you would occasionally have other guys pop on too, but the regular crew was pretty awesome.
Yeah, sadly, a lot of people are at New York Comic-Con at the moment, so they're busy drinking and doing their own thing. So I'm not going to get Dave Johnson probably won't be able to make it, but we're hoping to have a bunch of surprise guests come on and hang out for a little bit. And James is going to come on, and Brendan's going to come on. We're going to talk about the book.
And Penosian's going to be there too, right?
Yep. Dan's going to be helping shepherd like his. I won't be able to hear stuff because I'll be drawing and it's going to be loud where I'm at. So Dan's going to be working behind the scenes and making sure everyone gets a chance to hang out and do some drawing and say hello.
Now, which YouTube channel will y'all be streaming it to?
It's Drink and Draw. It's just on YouTube.
Is it? That's the name of the channel? Is just Drink and Draw?
Yeah, it's Drink and Draw. And it's Drink and Draw, the Rogues original Drink and Draw social club. And it's Rogues Kingdom.
That's it. You asked who the artist is on Fantastic Four right now. It's a fellow named Iban Coelho.
Okay.
IBAN.
I'll have to check this stuff out. Yeah.
COELLO.
I love the Fantastic Four. And if there's a good team on it,
you did some good work on Fantastic Four.
I tried. I wanted to make it like I really wanted to play up the science fiction-y side where they were explorers and Reed was a scientist, and so I didn't draw them super buff. I tried to make them as human as possible, and right. I think I did 3, maybe 4 issues. I had a good time with that.
I am going to expand myself real quick so you can see this page. It's a double-page spread. They're in a world where, well, you'll see.
Oh, nice.
Everybody's dinosaurs.
Oh, that's great.
Look at the Thor dinosaur. Am I going the wrong way here?
Oh, no, that's cool looking.
Look at the Doctor Strange dinosaur.
Oh, man. I want to draw that book.
I'm telling you, Ryan North is doing some great stuff. With this book.
I'll be honest, I'm a little jealous. I never got to draw the Fantastic Four as dinosaurs, or Captain America as a dinosaur. That's a great idea.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four are all themselves, but everybody else in this world are dinosaurs. In this Alex Ross cover, you can see like there's the Thor as kind of a hadrosaur there, and in the background,
I love a hadrosaur.
The Captain America is the Spinosaurus, and look, he threw his shield at Ben Grimm still. Like,
that's great.
It's bizarre, but it's fantastic. It's so much fun. Ryan North has made Fantastic Four fun.
Okay, I'll have to go check that out. Yeah, I haven't been to the comic book store in forever.
Okay, so if anybody wants to check out the the drink and draw tomorrow when they live stream it. Here's the YouTube channel, and literally upcoming live streams, just click notify me and you'll get a notification when they go live tomorrow night. It's looking like 7 p.m. So I'm assuming it's going to be 7 p.m. our time.
Is it 7 or 5?
I think YouTube actually changes the times depending on the zone that you're actually in.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I would be seeing it at 7 p.m. my time. For you, it would be like what, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it should be fun. I would love you guys to come in, hang out, and join the chat or just see, because I'll be drawing a big. So I'm going to be doing it's like in the early days of Drink and Draw, I did like the big ones. I don't know if you remember or not, Josh, but like.
I do. Yeah.
I'll be doing the same thing. It's Rondo fighting a bunch of octopus tentacle monster stuff. Yes, I know it's a classic Johnson tentacles. Yeah, I can't. I have my go-tos for sure, but I'll be doing that, and then I think Dan's going to draw some stuff. I think other people are going to draw, so it should be fun. If it ain't
broke, don't fix it. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
Are you friends with Tony Chastain? Do you know him?
I don't.
He's from just north of here in the hills of Tennessee. He lives up in Oregon now.
Cool.
And he was doing, he did the Star Trek comic for a good long while, the original series. He's very good at likenesses and such.
Excellent.
But he just did a picture that he posted on his Facebook yesterday, I think, maybe the day before. It's a close-up of an eye. And so you get about this much of somebody's face, right? It's this close-up of an eye that's open, like huge in surprise. And then there's this tentacle that's kind of coming up and it's touching the eyeball and all this in front. And the colors that he got on that.
So creepy.
Incredible. He's a fantastic artist. He really is great. But the colors he got on that, as I told him, that is awesome, but it ain't right.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I wish I could do better.
You can see the shine, kind of a reflection of the suckers on the tentacle, like going across the eyeball. You can see the reflection on the. It's
man, yuck!
It is awesome. I'm going to see if I can grab it.
Giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Hey, Blue Hellion, what's happening out there in Nebraska? Good to see you, man.
We're all over the map tonight.
Well, what's not to love?
Yeah, that's great.
Tony Chastain. I want to see if I can pull this.
Blue, in case you missed it a little while ago, I'm soon to be labeled a Duke. So
there you go, Duke Allen. I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to lean into the role, my friend.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the proper mindset.
Sure.
Now the Kickstarter starts tomorrow, and then we're going to have multiple levels. Do y'all have a target date in mind for actual shipping, or what's going to happen after Rogue's Kingdom? After the Kickstarter.
So,
I mean, are we going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 100?
The dream is that the first one's pretty much done. Like, I'm waiting for the final colors and the final lettering. So like all the art's done except for, like I said, the final color and the lettering. So as soon as we close the Kickstarter, we're gonna basically get it to put everything together and send it off to printing. So first one's done. Second one is almost done. It's pretty much in the same place. I'm just finishing up some of the bits and bobs at the end. And so as soon as we're done sending out the first one, we're gonna launch the next Kickstarter. So the minute the first one's in the mail, we're gonna do the second one. And the dream is that I can keep up and that we can just keep doing that. And so that every time we get one finished, we'll be on the tail of the one that you should be getting it in the mail at the time. And so the first story arc is 5 issues. And so once we have 5, then we have one complete arc. We're gonna find a publisher and then actually just go to stores and have the trade paperback be the thing. So the goal will be to do the Kickstarters and just to keep doing them for the single issues. That way we can do it just the way we want to do it, make it as good as we can possibly make it. And then when we have the complete story arc, then we will get a publisher, we'll get those out, more mass market kind of stuff. So that's the dream. So that's I always want to be chasing that dragon, to have it like, as you get it and you read it, I want to be announcing the next one so that everyone is excited and getting the full story. Because we have so much story to tell that I really have to just focus on this one thing.
Now, would the type of story, and I mean, this is just me, like random thoughts, with the type of story that y'all are telling, and you're talking about, get the 5 issues out and then go to a publisher, do y'all have someone in mind? I mean, how does that aspect of it work?
Well, I mean, so that's a very good question. Originally, we were going to do this book at Image, and we had the idea to do it at Image, and they were all for it, except that I just took too long. There was no way that I could get it in on a semi-regular basis, because it's just, as you can see, the pages are insane. And then because of all my years in animation, I used up all my lead time designing characters and doing character sheets and background designs and doing all that stuff that usually someone else would do in an animation thing, but I did it all. So the hope is that we're able to, once it's all together, that we can find a publisher that likes the idea of us just handing them a book and not having to wait for it. So the trade paperback will be done. Because it was just impossible to ask any publisher to wait as long as it's taken me to get it done.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Josh, you know who I thought of when I first started seeing the pictures
Josh.
and everything?
Yikes.
That is awesome.
I told you, look at the little reflection of the suckers going across the eye.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is awesome.
Jeez.
Isn't that horrifying?
Yeah, it's shocking.
It's awesome, but it ain't right.
No.
What is that above the eye?
An eyebrow, a hair, an eyebrow? I don't know.
No, I'm sorry, like just above the iris. It looks like there's a face. Turn your head.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, maybe more reflection. It does kind of look like it. Creepy. That is so
I don't
creepy.
know. I don't know what Tony was doing, but that right there. Oh.
Yeah, that's good.
That's amazing. And what he takes the picture off, and I'm sitting here like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tony Chastain's a super great guy, good artist, really, really good. And like I said, he's out there in Oregon now.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, nice guy. I've got I don't know, Alan, in the back room where we have some additional like con sketches and stuff up on the wall. The Spock from Star Trek is a Tony Chastain.
Excellent.
Yeah. He at a con. He did the Star Trek logo symbol, and then he would draw the characters inside that, so he didn't have to draw a big humongous. It was a clever way of bounding it that everybody thought, oh, that's cool.
I'm going to steal that idea for sure.
Yeah, I would. Based on the story that you're telling and the art and the way everything looks and the character design, I would talk to the folks at Mad Cave Studios.
That's a great idea.
Actually, yeah, Mark Linden would be good. I was thinking about AWA too. I don't know if you've checked anything that AWA is doing, but man, they have just been pure fire.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of great publishers out there. Hopefully we can find a home.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
With the names Jeff Johnson and James Robinson.
Well, I mean, James Robinson should be able to go.
That'll find a home pretty quick.
Yeah.
That'll find a home pretty quick. That's exciting. I tell you, I knew going into this, based on what you had told me 3.5 years ago, that I was looking forward to this book. And now, just with that little bit of story, just that setup of here's what happens, and then here's the switch, I'm all in.
Oh, good.
I'm all in. That is so my kind of story, and I love it. I love it so much. So I'm excited for it.
Oh, very, very cool. I sent you a PDF, right, of stuff. Did I send you one?
Yes.
Well, hang on now.
Yeah, that was I mean, I'm looking at the PDF right now.
Oh, yeah. That was in the.
There's no words in that one, but yeah, that you can see kind of where we go with stuff.
God, so great. That's so great. So, folks, you're going to want to get this book. Now, you can back the Kickstarter yourself, or you can get it through Haven. either way, we're going to have it.
Cool.
So just support it. However you get it, get this book. And if you're not local, like I said, we got guys on here from Texas, guys on here from Nebraska and all over. Get this book, back this Kickstarter, support really cool creators. That's part of what Kickstarter is good for, is that people who create can realize the profits off of what they create and they don't lose it all to some big company.
Right.
So support these guys and then they can do more of what you love.
That's the plan.
Okay, so folks that are watching, what y'all can't see is I'm not being rude. I'm actually looking at this PDF, and I'm telling y'all do not want to miss this book. This one that you've done here, with the knight riding across the log with the waterfall in the background.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
That is beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
that's an image like. I don't know. That's an image that I would like to have. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, like, so at some point we're gonna do like special stretch goals of like make stuff into like wallpapers, and we're gonna have one of the fun add-ons is I made postcards, like old school travel postcards. It says like
nice.
Visit historic Lumpland, and it's like it's
stuff. Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and also since you're, you guys play D&D, right?
Oh yeah,
you play D&D. So I play Wednesday with a bunch of friends, and so one of my friends who was looking at the stuff, he goes, "Oh, you should make this character. You should make Rondo into a character that you can play." And I thought, like, oh, what a great idea! So we rolled him up. We got his character sheet. That's gonna be one of the stretch goal giveaways. Like. Yeah,
oh, that's awesome.
It was the most fun I've had in a long time trying to figure out like what level swashbuckler is he? What fighting thing does he have? What multi-class? It was the best nerdy conversation ever.
I'm 100% on board with that. I'm currently running a homebrew, a world that I built and set up from scratch. Every race, every creature, everything. Plants, trees, you name it. And it's fun, but when you say, like I got lost in the time it took to do all that, it takes time to do all that. It takes time to do all that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy. I mean,
so
I
create
I'm so
the world.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
And then
it's a labor of love.
Yeah. And you enjoy it, but you make the sandbox and then you can play in it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're just trying to play with this little bit and you don't know where it is in relation to everything else. So it's hard to tell a good story that way.
Yeah.
And for me, that's how my brain works. And it sounds like your brain works in a similar fashion. So I don't know if that's good or bad for either of us.
Well, I mean, I think it's good because it winds up on the page, but it's terrible for a deadline.
That's true, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's always
been. And I tell you, the part about it for me that really sucked was when the worst of COVID was going on and people weren't getting together and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great amount of time I could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But my motivation to do it just wasn't there. I was like, I need the deadline to as a forcing function to get me to move.
Yeah.
Because without it, I'll just dawdle and I'll think about it, but I won't actually put it on paper.
I am very familiar with that phenomenon.
I need to quit. Y'all are over here talking, and I'm starting to read the Bard's Corner.
Excellent.
Yeah, I love the way the Bard's Corner starts out. I just found that's why I kind of started snickering. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, no, his James. So the Bard's Corner is it's that story James wrote, the prose, and it's amazing.
It literally starts out, Josh. It says the township was called East Grog, although as far as anyone knew, there wasn't a West Grog.
Fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, no, James is amazing.
Louis.
Yeah.
Oh man, I tell you, as you was so 3.5 years ago when I first met you and you came on the show, you were very gracious and kind to come on and hang out with us and talk comics and stuff. Then, just as kind and gracious this time to come back and do it again. I sincerely appreciate it. You are an awesome human being.
Oh, thanks,
and
guys. This has been a joy. I'm so glad you invited me to come on. This has been a blast.
Anytime you want to come on, if you got a Thursday night where you're not doing anything,
all right.
just give us a shout, man. We'd love to have you on anytime.
Excellent. Well, when I put you guys in the comic, I'll have to come back on and point you out. Like, here you are. Here's Duke Allen and Major Domo Josh standing behind him.
Just so y'all know, I will be signing the page that I'm on if y'all want me to ruin your comic.
I mean, obviously, you got to sign those things. There's no doubt about it.
I tell you, the funny thing, you say that standing behind him lurking, and you're not wrong, because we had somebody recently, I forget what it was. Was it on Reddit or something, where somebody said some comment about my store, and they said, this guy, he's pretty cool. I think he's the owner maybe. And somebody else in the comment said, if it's the guy who you look at him and go, I didn't know humans came in that size. Yeah, that's the owner.
Perfect. You guys have to send me a picture of you standing next to each other so I can get scale right.
Yeah. I'm 6'6" and 400 pounds.
Nice.
And Alan is not.
Yeah, I'm like 5'9" and 240.
We're very much a Mutt and Jeff is what we are.
So, you know the famous cover of Mr. Fix-It and Wolverine?
Yes.
Where they're standing side by side? That's it. I mean, that's it perfectly.
Perfect. I can't
We've
wait.
been talking about doing a photo recreation of that.
Excellent.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing a photo recreation of that. We need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But, sir, I greatly appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk comics with you. It's a pleasure to hear what you've been doing. And I'm so glad to see this book is finally coming to fruition, because I have wanted to get my grubby hands on it since you first talked about it. It's so up my alley. So thank you so very, very much for coming on and telling us about it. We will be supporting you, and we're going to encourage everybody else to do the same.
Wonderful. Thank you guys very much. That's wonderful to hear. I really appreciate it.
We have a great question here, Alan. Do you want to handle that one?
Yes, I can handle that one. Give me just a moment.
Sir, you can get a T-shirt, a hat, a backpack, a neckerchief for your dog. You can get whatever kind of goofy thing you might want, because Alan has, there it is at the bottom, scrolling across, haven-comics.myspreadshop.com. And you can get all manner of crazy things with the Haven Comics logo on it.
I am trying to get the link right now so I can actually post the link. That'll be a little bit easier. Where you at? Where'd you go?
But yeah, you want to buy a shirt for Haven Comics, brother? I will tell you, the colors of the logo pop better on the blue shirt than they do the other color, the black ones or what have you, for me. And they actually come in a size that fits me, which is saying something. I normally have to get all my clothes at the big and tall store. So when I find a company that does all this other stuff and they have a shirt that fits me, that works for me. I will take that any day. But while you're doing that, Alan, anything else you want to tell folks about? Anything else you got in the hopper, or anything you want to share about Rogue's Kingdom? A secret that they won't find out anywhere else?
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there's going to be. I can't tell you that there's going to be a lot of so we have the first 5 issues all planned out. We have the next ones all planned out. I think there's going to be, if we can get this going, I think people are going to be happy for a very long time. We have a lot of really cool stuff coming with dragons and magic libraries and fairies battling on hummingbird. Like, we have a lot of stuff planned, and I think it's going to be
fairies battling on hummingbirds. That's got a real Brian Haberlin sound to it. I totally dig that.
There's the magic library that's enormous, and
I'm on board with anytime you have those 2 words together.
Magic library.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So there's an incredibly big library, and then we've created a couple of different guardians guardian species that live in the library and fight magical invaders and silverfish and all kinds of stuff. And so
put out fires.
Yes, exactly. Right.
That's important.
Yeah. So there's a whole. So the thing about Rogue's Kingdom is it starts off with just these 2 main characters, and then the Arzoro character, the princess, and they're kind of the focus of this particular story arc. But it's rogues. It's huge. So it's all the kingdom, and it's all the different characters, and James has really fleshed out the world beautifully. It's deep and it's lush, and I think people are going to really I think they're going to find a place to sort of hang out in it.
I noticed that the apostrophe on rogues is a plural possessive.
Mhm.
And I love that because that instantly tells me something about the story, right?
There's lots of rogues.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's their kingdom,
Yep.
which I totally dig.
Yep.
But, sir, looking forward to it greatly. I hope the launch party tomorrow is a huge success, and I look forward to seeing this book come out here as soon as we can get it done. If you do need a letterer, by the way, we know one. Eisner Award nominated, or was Eisner's, right?
Yep.
Justin Birch.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Phenomenal letterer. If you need one of those, we can pick you up.
Right on.
Great guy. But, sir, hats off to you. This is going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it, and we are excited to see this one come out.
Thank you guys very much. It was a pleasure hanging out, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. We're going to sign off with we used to do a quiz show that was kind of a trivia thing every week, and we had this as our last question, and I still like it, so we play it. This will give you 1984, like Spy Hunter kind of vibes here.
Okay, let's see.